This is the story of making my dream, everyday carry outdoor camping knife with a true professional metalworker who shows how to fix all of the mistakes that I'm inevitably going to create.
We're slightly off center.
But first, we have to start at the beginning. Now, I've been working on the shape of this bushman knife for over a year, but never had the time or courage to commit a couple of days of actually bringing this sketch from the page into real life. But that's all going to end right now because I'm going to be learning from a professional bladesmith out in the beautiful countryside of Bozeman, Montana. My buddy Maverick from Maverick Knives has been making beautiful pieces, each individually handmade with exquisite detail for years. And I haven't been making knives for years. In fact, I've never made a knife. But for this one, I was sure of one thing, and that was I wanted to build it all from scratch. No mail order kits or easy assembly guide. Something that had character from the start to the finish. And we're going for convex.
Yes.
So after a couple tweaks and adaptations, we transferred the paper design onto the mild steel and started to remove material. Along with tons of other tips that Maverick showed me, the most important was that removing small sections from the edge of the belt is much more efficient, and then clean up the entire profile with more shallow passes. That block is essential.
It is essential. Keeps the heat away, and then you don't lose your fingers.
Now, the shape of this knife was actually inspired by the survival YouTube channel TA Outdoors. What I love about the knife that Mike made with Alex Steel was how strong the blade looked and could really take a beating. So we're going to make something with some rigidity in it.
No.
Nice. We bore out the center holes to give it balance and for the epoxy to grip. And then it's just a lot of sanding off material in small, shallow passes. Even after doing the beginning couple passes, I will never take a knife blade for granted ever again. There's a true art to shaping metal, and more importantly, what not to do, which I'm going to fall into that trap very soon. But the first step is just to try to keep the blade at the same consistent angle for both sides. Yeah?
There you go.
Yeah? Okay.
I think that's good for pre-heat treat.
Okay. You want to keep about that much?
Yeah. So we want to make sure that there's enough meat there that it doesn't crack when it's clenched it.
And this guy here is fine?
Yeah, we're going to clean that up after heat treat. So.
How long are you leaving that in there for?
So it's going to be in there till it hits about 1600 degrees. We're going to pull it out and let it air.
And now you're watching it. You see how it, yeah, it's going to that straw kind of color. Nice.
Starting to change. That's about 1000 degrees right there.
Okay.
So we'll go up till it's like a little bit. We're going to repeat that process 2 more times. Degrees. That's just hot enough to get it hard but not too hard and prevent grain structure growth. It's going to go in there. Set a timer for 15 minutes.
Didn't flame up.
Nope. If it generally doesn't, unless it's like a big knife. So that
Nice.
should be hardened. So we're going to check it with a file. So, see it skates over it. There's no cutting happening.
Uh-huh.
So that means that it's harder than the file and is fully hardened.
Okay.
So we're checking all across the edge. You can see that all the way down, no scratching. Good to go.
Wow. What's that black stuff on the outside of that? Is that just
That's
oil?
that's all the scale from us normalizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Another sign of a good heat treat is that the scale pops off.
Now, I thought this was kind of important. After the hardening and tempering process, the metal warps just a little. So to straighten everything out to keep it flush for the wooden handles, we put it on the magnetic bed where it passes under a grinding wheel in small incremental steps. This will ensure that both sides of the knife are flat and parallel. What's unique that you may have noticed is the simple design on how the bed moves back and forth. The two blocks spaced out automatically flip the switch on the lever, which then alternates the direction. So the only area that Maverick is focusing on is in the Y direction. This leaves us with a perfectly flat surface, and now it's on to the final shaping of the blade, which is the perfect opportunity for me to screw up everything we've done so far.
We're slightly off center, so we're gonna take, since we have the meat, we're gonna grind this edge in a little ways.
Yes.
We're gonna take about 20 thou and push it back to the center.
Yes.
And also be careful, because higher grit create higher friction, which means they overheat faster.
So if you didn't catch that, basically I screwed up. I was trying to shape the final look of the blade and took too much off of one side. This normally happens because your dominant hand is more stable on the grinding wheel than your other arm, but then Maverick took one pass at it and showed me really how it's done. He just takes it.
So nonchalant.
It's like, all right, I'll just do one. Okay, I'm just like, ding, ding, ding. And you're just like, okay, cool. It's like, perfect. And that's why he's the one with the expensive prices. Now that we were back on track, what I needed to do was to keep sharpening the final steps of the blade and not ruin any of Maverick's, my previous work. Now the handle is this beautiful burled wood, which is injected and penetrated with resin so it will be stable and weather resistant. We drilled out the holes for these placement pins. Now these are just temporary and we're going to swap them out for a set of brass domed pins, which are rare on most knives. But first we have to get everything shaped to the perfect fit of my hand. Now you may not like my knife making skills, and I can't blame you for that, or the editing of this video so far. I promise I'll show you the usefulness of the blade at the end. But if you think Maverick is an awesome dude for showing a complete newbie how to make his dream blade, then he'd really appreciate it if you whittled away on the like button. What do you think? About even?
Yeah, I like that.
It's just a small free token of appreciation that I'll be sure to pass along. And if you've stayed with us this far, then you're really going to enjoy when we apply the teak oil and make this whole thing come alive. But first we have to round out the rest of this handle.
We're gonna go on just a touch of an angle. So you can see our scratches. You can rotate it around.
Oh, cool.
And
Did you make this? Of course you did.
Yeah. This was like one of the first tools that I built, so it's really ugly.
It works. Oh, I like this.
Yeah, we're just gonna go like so, and this is where you're gonna roll these over. So you're just gonna come off on a bit of an angle and clean those up so you got a nice edge. So the 220 is gonna remove it pretty quick.
Okay.
Money shot.
Okay. So that basically takes our edge down to 0. We're gonna let it round that over. Just like that.
Look at that. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's unlike anything I've ever seen.
They're pretty thin coat. Drop it on. And then I fill these bridge holes.
Uh-huh.
That way there's actual epoxy all the way through. Like so. Just kind of clean up the excess and spread where my handle is actually going to contact. And since these are all surface ground, it takes so little epoxy to get good contact. Okay. Spin a little on the outside and squish her in.
And how are you getting that brass pin flush with the edge?
So afterwards we're gonna grind and sand it off. And the epoxy isn't what's gonna be holding the blade on. It's to seal out any moisture. The pins that we put in are going to be the actual mechanical fasteners.
Okay.
The epoxy is just kind of an insurance policy towards making sure that everything's protected and clean. So we're taking them right down flush. And then we'll pull our other pins out. Since it's glued on. And we'll just do a little cleanup on the handle. That's just cleaning up any residue from the epoxy. And on our lanyard hole.
Wow, that comes alive.
Yeah. Look at that. So that's one. Okay.
And remember when I mentioned the rare thing about how we're going to take these pins to the next level? Well, what Maverick is setting up in the drill press is something I'd never seen before. But it's basically a convenient way to give the top protruding parts of the brass a subtle dome. Take a look at how he works this.
We started with this. We ended with this.
So take a look at this, sheath and all. It's a work of art, to say the least. And this knife is just beautiful to hold, really nice to look at, but we need to do the obligatory YouTube test and see how sharp it is with a piece of paper, and I think I want to whack some bamboo.
Domed pins. Beautiful handle. And the coolest blade that I've ever seen. I haven't seen that many blades.
Coolest blade you've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
If you need a knife, there's only one place to go. This is just beautiful. I'll say it's mine, even though we know who
you
really
did your
made
part.
it. We know who really made it. You got to check out Maverick's website and all of his work that he's done. Check out his Instagram. This won't be on it because it's the worst thing that he would have ever have touched. And he's got much nicer things on there. Thank you, man. Like, I've been smiling this whole time. This is just so much fun.
I love passing it on. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
This
you
is
bet.
awesome. This has
Glad
been
to do
great.
it.